because of a choice between alternatives has not been made. So this means that the Kino der Toten Shadow Man is linked with the evil Richthofen's plan working out, and the Shadows of Evil Shadow Man is linked with evil Richthofen being killed and the storyline being rewritten. Now we do know that Shadows of Evil takes place in the 1940s, and so does the Giant bonus map. It takes place sometime sometime before 1943, because that's when Der Riese takes place. So the Giant is the story obviously before Der Riese, so it has to take place before 1943. So it's seeming like that the Giant map happens before Shadows of Evil. And if the Giant bonus map takes place before Shadows of Evil, that means that the evil Richthofen has already been killed by the time you're playing Shadows of Evil. Meaning that the Shadow Man has been rewritten, and that would explain why this man with the hat would be the Shadow Man instead of this man. After all, I did hear several times that this will probably be the last Zombies game, and this is going to be like the finale to the story, and if so, they are probably going to do a remake or a remaster for all the maps, and when they do that, they're probably going to add some slight changes to all the maps, just like they're doing with the Giant, because the Giant is like the alternate choice of what could happen in the storyline, right? So all the maps that they remake are probably going to be what happened in Kino der Toten Shangri-La and all the Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2 zombie maps when evil Richthofen was killed, and the maps changed slightly because some events were changed in the maps because the story went a different direction. So, for example, in the alternate version of Kino der Toten, after evil Richthofen was killed, instead of having this guy's face as the Shadow Man, it will probably be this guy's face as the Shadow Man, because you took an alternate path. When evil Richthofen is killed, this man becomes the Shadow Man, and when Richthofen's plan works out, this man becomes the Shadow Man. And again, that matches with the first definition, more than one interpretation. Now, there's a theory going around that this blocked out Shadow Man picture in Kino der Toten is actually Richthofen, and it actually kind of makes sense because, first of all, the silhouette matches with Origin Richthofen silhouette perfectly. And we do know that Origin's Richthofen entered the dimension of these normal characters, but the reason his picture is blocked out is because he doesn't really belong in the dimension. Kind of like how the perk machines on Mob of the Dead flash in and out of time and flash black and white because they don't belong in that time period, because technically they weren't invented yet. So the reason why the picture's blocked out is because technically it doesn't belong in that dimension, and because technically Origins Richthofen does not belong in the dimension with the regular Richthofen, but Samantha teleported them over there, and that's the exact same reason why the Mob of the Dead perk machines flash like that, because at the time of the 1930s, the perk machines weren't even invented yet. They're probably saying, well, how come the perk machines in Origins 1918 don't flash in and out of time? Because if they weren't invented in the 1930s, then they obviously weren't invented in 1918. Well, those are completely two different dimensions, so that's a different story. So if this really is the last zombie game and they do make a remake for all the maps and we're playing in Kino der Toten, we're going to be playing as the Origins characters, and if we're playing as the Origins characters, that means that Richthofen's face will pop up in this picture because he's going to be one of the characters present on the map, and the others characters' faces may be the ones that are blocked out because they are not present on the map because we're playing as the Origins versions. You understand what I'm saying? And number 5, PhD Flopper. How is PhD Flopper going to be in Black Ops 3 Zombies? Is it even going to be in the game at all? Because here's the thing, obviously we do know that in Black Ops 3 you cannot dolphin dive anymore. They turned it into sliding. So here's the thing, the whole premise of PhD Flopper is to flop on your belly. So if they do put, even if they do put PhD Flopper in the game, in Zombies, it's not even going to be called PhD Flopper. Technically, it would be PhD Slider or something like that. Like, it's really weird how, like, if they did put it in, they would have to change up the whole system. It would be almost kind of overpowered because sliding is a way easier animation to do, and it's like easier to do in different situations than to dolphin dive, because obviously in the past Zombies games, to activate the PhD explosion, you have to be off of a high surface and dolphin dive off. Now with sliding, obviously you could slide anywhere. You won't have to be on a high surface or something like that. So it's going to be much easier to activate the explosion, which will probably boost the cost of the perk PhD Flopper. Or they may just completely change the system of PhD Flopper. Plus you have to realize that every time you want to slide in the game and it turns into an explosion, that might be really annoying because some people just might want to slide. So they're going to have to, think of some different type of way to do that. Or maybe after a certain amount of kills that you get, it charges up your PhD meter, then you could slide and activate the explosion. That would balance it out way more. And just a fun way to end the video off, if you look in the beginning of the trailer, in the first 3 seconds, if you look above the city or above the buildings, you can see the first mystery box location right there, the blue light right there.